Hello and welcome to Mindful Living, where we explore the art of living with the intention, balance, and inner peace. I am Avik, your host, guiding you through conversations on health, meditation, mental well being, mindfulness, and the mind body connection. Each episode features expert insights to help you grow, heal, and thrive. So, take a deep breath, relax, and join us on this journey to a more mindful and fulfilling life. So, let's get started.
Hello and welcome, listeners, to another episode of the Mindful Living podcast with your host, Sana. Today, we are diving into a mind bending topic that goes beyond the boundaries of traditional intelligence and emotional IQ. Our guest today, Dr. Yosi Amram, is here to introduce us to the profound concept of spiritual intelligence. Dr. Amram has journeyed through many worlds, listeners, from the Israeli Air Force to Silicon Valley, then from CEO to pioneering psychologist. His insights into spiritual intelligence offer a fascinating new layer to how we think, feel, and lead as well. Now, Dr. Amram's research and experience are all about connecting with a deeper sense of self. And he's here today on the Mindful Living to share with all of us why nurturing this inner dimension is the missing piece to a truly fulfilling life and effective leadership. So, listeners, get ready to explore a new realm of intelligence that promises not just greater success, but also a richer, more grounded way of being. So, let's get into it. So, Dr. Yosi, welcome to the show, and it is an absolute honor to have you with us today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that lovely introduction. Hope I'll be able to live up to that. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's it's earned by these are your accomplishments and the wisdom you are going to share with all of us. It's a gift. So I'm very confident our listeners have are going to have a lot of important takeaways for this very unique aspect of intelligence. Great. So, Dr. Amram, your journey from tech CEO to psychologist is fascinating. Both completely different worlds, but somehow they are connected. So, can you tell us about the moment you realized spiritual intelligence could be transformative force in leadership?
Wow. Okay. So if I'm going to talk about the moment, it would be brief, but in a way, it's my entire life, which is a little more than a year and a half.
Oh.
I'm just joking. It's a lot more than that. That kind of led me to this. But if I were to kind of summarize it, I was a tech CEO. My company went public, and our stock price was rising, etc. But that came up. That happened after, really a long number of years. I forget how many was, 7, 8, 9 years of really hard work of 70, 80 hours a week and burning out and getting depressed and experiencing dark night of the soul, what is called in spiritual circles, the dark night of the soul, where, my purpose of life, which was since I was relatively young, 18, 19, in the Israeli military, where I was drafted and had the fastest promotion record in the history of my regiment. But the military command and control model, while effective in battle, really doesn't bring out necessarily inspire and help people actualize the greatest gifts. And I resolved to someday build a company and an organization based on more humanistic principles. And that's kind of how I got to be a tech CEO. And that was my lifelong dream that gave my life purpose and direction. And when I got burnt out, and depressed, I had to kind of really look at that. And in the midst of that, and through my persistence and so on, we managed to change the company direction, make it an internet company. We're a high-flying stock. And at one moment, when I was trying to relax and get a massage, lying on the massage table, face down, all of a sudden my consciousness altered, and I had this realization that my body and everything is made of consciousness, and the floor that I was looking at through the face cradle was not separate from me, it was inside of me. And that awakening experience kind of blew the circuits of my mind and helped me understand our inherent interconnectedness and oneness. And that changed the direction of my life, which so then later I went and got a PhD in psychology. And I had this spiritual awakening, and I wanted to know, is it real or was it delusion or what was that? But I had known about this thing called emotional intelligence and all the research that was done about that, showing how it contributes to well-being and leadership. And then I heard the term spiritual intelligence. Oh, wow, that would be a great idea as parallel to emotional intelligence. But when I looked into it, there was no definition really operationally of what it is and how to measure it, which if you're going to study something and show that it contributes to leadership or well-being or quality of life or resilience or mental health, whatever it is, you need a way to measure these constructs. So that's the path I set myself on, is to define it. So that involved interviewing 71 spiritual teachers across all the world's traditions to see, are there common qualities that are universal, regardless of our cosmology, theology, if we believe in the Buddha and enlightenment, or Lord Shiva, or God, or, Father Sky, Mother Earth. But, regardless of our cosmology and theology, across all the world's traditions, qualities like purpose and service and trust and integrity and compassion and humility are universal. And now the field of modern psychology has identified those very same qualities scientifically to be contributing to our well-being and resilience and optimal functioning in life. So that kind of all inspired me to see, can this be measured? So that led me to the development of the first academically validated measure of spiritual intelligence. And then my research indeed showed that leaders that score higher on spiritual intelligence lead teams that are more committed, higher morale, and lower turnover, even when you control for emotional intelligence. So it turned out that emotional intelligence and spiritual intelligence were complementary, each on their own contributing to effective leadership, but combined, they had a multiplicative effect. So spiritual intelligence, in a way, was turbocharging emotional intelligence. And since my research, that measure of spiritual intelligence has been used by other researchers and translated into over a half dozen languages, and it's been shown that leaders that score higher in spiritual intelligence produce better financial results to their business units, and teams or organizations, including banks, where there is a higher level of spiritual intelligence among their employees, produce better financial metrics, return on investment, and it contributes to quality of life, satisfaction of life, better relationships, and so on. So that's a long answer. I'll pause there. I kind of worked in a whole life story. I couldn't contain myself.
No, it's of course a huge job to summarize, the years of research, the years of realizing your purpose, and also interacting with 71 spiritual leaders across the world. It will probably consume a lot more time than this to summarize it, but that's something really very interesting you told our listeners. And as you have done such a profound research on understanding, on defining spiritual intelligence, so how would you explain this to someone new to the concept, and what exactly differentiates it from EQ or emotional intelligence?
Okay, great. Well, I'm glad you're bringing up EQ, emotional intelligence, which is obviously very important. Up until emotional intelligence came into vogue, we used to think of emotion and reason and intelligence to be opposite. If I said to you, "Oh, do you know someone in your life who's emotional?" and who would that be? Most people would think, "Oh, that's a negative thing. They might be
Yeah.
out of control, etc." But then emotional intelligence came in first through an academic paper by two researchers in 1990, Salovey and Meyer, and then it was popularized by Daniel Goleman in his book. And there were many measures of emotional intelligence and a lot of research showing how it contributes to a variety of positive outcomes. But what is emotional intelligence? In essence, it's the ability to be aware of and regulate emotional information in ourselves and others. So it's drawing on emotional resources to help functioning and well-being through awareness and so on. So what is spiritual intelligence? Is by analogy, it would be the ability to draw on spiritual resources and qualities and embody them in daily life to enhance functioning and well-being. So you say, what are these spiritual qualities? So these are the qualities I mentioned that are universal across traditions, like purpose, service, joy, beauty, integrity, egolessness, compassion, truth. And when we draw on these qualities and know how to embody them in daily life, so this is not it's important to differentiate spiritual intelligence from spiritual experience and
Mm.
spiritual belief. So spiritual experience is like I could be meditating or praying and whatever, and I can feel oneness. I could feel all kinds of things. I could be walking in the forest and feel one with nature, etc. So that's a spiritual experience. I can have a spiritual belief in a deity, in God, in the afterlife, the reincarnation of the soul, etc. Those are all spiritual beliefs. And experiences and beliefs are important, but what spiritual intelligence cares about is how do I draw on these ideas or beliefs or whatever it is and qualities to embody them in daily life. So I might have a meditation and feel oneness, but then I'm driving on the freeway and I'm very aggressive and unkind and so on, or I'm in line in the supermarket and I am not very gracious with the cashier or with my teammates at work or my family members at home. So spiritual intelligence is how we live these values in daily life, which helps us feel better about ourselves. We feel more connected to our life force energy, our essence. So we're interconnected, and then we're interconnected to other people who share in that spark of life, that life force. We're all part of the same web of life. So we feel more interconnected. And then ultimately, we can feel ultra connected, which connects us to the transcendent dimension and sacred dimension of life. So, so when we have that and we embody that, then we feel connected, inspired, and empowered in our life. And our life has meaning and purpose and direction, and we're part of the web of life. So we're
Mm.
both individuals. So the analogy I like to think about
Uh-huh.
is up until the Copernican revolution,
Mhm.
humanity thought that the Earth is at the center of the solar system and the sun revolves around it, which is how it looks like when you look at the sky, right? But then we realized no, it's actually that the Earth revolves around the sun and it gets all its life force energy from the sun, and the Earth actually came out of the sun. Now, our egoic view, when you look around, is like the world is made of people that are separate, and objects and trees and tables and computers and so on. And there's finite resources, and we're all competing for those resources. And that's kind of the egoic view. But the ecological view is that I'm breathing oxygen that is produced by the trees and the plants, and I couldn't survive on my own. So it's like a cell in the human body. In our human body, there are many cells. They have their unique individual identity with a cell membrane, and they have to take care of their integrity and so on. But then they have to do their job, their function within an organ, which is then embedded into the whole body, which is one organism. So
Mm.
an individual cell can't thrive in the long run if the organ is sick or the organism is sick. So we have to take care of ourselves as individual, but we have to understand the ecological perspective is that we're embedded into this broader web of life that is interconnected and interdependent. So that's kind of the spiritual intelligence perspective, which is crucial at this time of human evolution for individual well-being and societal. But I'll pause there before I explain why I think it's so important and so timely.
No, I totally agree with you and the analogy you gave, because assessing the current situation and the way the entire humanity is heading, um, I think it gives a larger, a bigger perspective, and also it inculcates a sense of gratitude. Instead of just being self-consumed within themselves, and the same thing, same thought process can be applied in terms of leadership as well. So I think you explained it very well, very well.
Yeah, and gratitude is one of those spiritual intelligence qualities and resources. As it's been said, we're not grateful because we're happy. We're happy because we practice gratitude. And gratitude is kind of a gift that keeps on giving. When
Yeah.
we feel gratitude for something, we can feel better, and then we could be grateful for that itself. So that creates a positive feedback loop. But as you point out, what's going on in humanity, when you think about in the global basis, IQ, human IQ has gotten us to the moon, has gotten us to split the atom, has gotten us to decode the genome, right? And
Yeah.
emotional intelligence has enabled us to become more aware of our emotions and regulate them and build more collaborative teams. But at the same time, there's ever increasing rates of depression, anxiety. There's a loneliness epidemic. There's ever growing level of deaths of despair, which are deaths caused by overdose of drugs or alcohol and suicide. There's, thousands of species are going extinct every day. There's a huge political polarization and divide, at least in the US. I don't know what it's like in India, but I think in many parts of the world, there's a lot of social unrest, and
Yes.
there are wars raging all over the world. So, unless we can understand our interconnectedness and our shared humanity and the dignity of our differences, and that we are all part of this one web of life, I think there are many problems for us.
Correct.
So I think what we need is the spiritual intelligence that helps us understand our interconnectedness and interdependence.
As you gave the example of the Copernican, thought or pedagogy, or as after years of research and exploration, people then started to understand, realize that Earth is not the center of the universe. I think. As of now, as we are exploring universe, we're exploring other universes as well. We are thinking about the possibilities of other universe.
Uh-huh.
If we see from the space, the Earth, the planet it is, I think the problems we have down the Earth, they will seem petty. They don't even matter, because it's just a small dot in the entire universe. So I think that perspective came to my mind Very.
Yeah, well, people that have gone to space, I'm trying to remember this person that was one of the astronauts in Apollo 9 or whatever,
Yeah.
and took a photo, and then he
Yeah.
started this organization called IONS, which
Yeah.
that is very much done research into our interconnectedness and so on. So yeah, once you have that broader perspective, if you zoom out, then you see Mother Gaia, you can call it, or whatever, and then you can be more soft with yourself and your neighbors, and understand that we're this part of this one web of life. So it's a little bit of a paradox. I mean, it gives us perspective. Earth is minuscule, but I think it still gives our life meaning. It's not like, oh, we're one small planet out of trillions of planets out there. And so who cares, it all came out of random quantum fluctuations and genetic mutations. So, it can lead to cynicism. I think it leads to perspective, and
Right.
it can also lead to deeper meaning, but not taking everything so personally in a win-lose mindset.
Hmm. So while spiritual intelligence offers a profound dimension, Dr. Yosi, some would argue it's unnecessary for achieving business success. So how would you respond to those who see it, quote unquote, nice to have, but not essential?
Well, I think you have to understand the evolution of business and so on. I mean, um, if you're a hunter gatherer and that's how you survive, maybe your spiritual intelligence is not critical. Then you move to industrial society where everything is mechanized and you can give your employees precise instructions on what to do on the assembly line. But then we move to a knowledge-based economy where really jobs and our competitiveness is based on developing creative solutions, new technologies, and so on. And you can't command that. You have to inspire that. You have to give people, you want to attract the smartest, most creative talent. And those people need to be motivated not through fear, but through inspiration. And if you think about the difference between management and leadership, my first business school case at Harvard, a long time ago, was the difference between managers and leaders. And managers make decisions, manage resource, and so on, but leaders inspire. Now, if you
Correct.
stop and think about the root word of inspire, it's spirit, which is the animating breath of life and life force. So what leaders do is they inspire their teams, their organizations by basically breathing life and cohesion into that team, that organization through a vision, through a shared sense of purpose, common values, and a sense of community that we're in this together. And otherwise, you get a lot of politics in the organization, which becomes toxic. People are pulling in different directions and they don't feel a sense of belonging and they just go across the street for a company that pays them a little more. And then they burn out because their life has no meaning. And more people are living in single adult households. They're lonely. So for them, work is their primary community. That's where they get human contact. That's where they spend the bulk of their waking hours. So making that meaningful, connected creates a higher level of commitment and engagement and loyalty to the organization, and people bring their best self to that. And that's why, the research shows that leaders that have higher spiritual intelligence produce better financial results. So for their organizations, and banks that have higher spiritual intelligence have better return on assets. So this is, I mean, depends what you mean by succeed, but can you succeed without it? Maybe, depends on the kind of business, but if you want to optimize it, I think spiritual intelligence contributes to business success. It doesn't detract from business success.
I totally agree with you. So, we have talked about what spiritual intelligence is, what is the significance of this. So, are there any specific techniques or exercises that anyone can use to cultivate spiritual intelligence in their daily life?
Yeah, well, I mean, spiritual intelligence is a lifelong journey for myself, at least, and I think for most everyone. So it's important to understand it. It's not a once and done thing. Just like if you want to stay healthy physically and you do physical exercise, you don't go to the gym once in your life or once a month or once a year. You have to do regular practice. So there are 22 qualities of spiritual intelligence. We mentioned some of them. I think the best thing is to build habits around each of them. So you say, okay, I'm going to really start with focusing on gratitude, and you could develop a gratitude practice every day in the morning, or when you go to sleep at night. You make that a habit, and after you've incorporated that into your day, and you start going through your day thinking about your life through the lens of gratitude. Oh, I'm right now drinking this tea. I'm so happy and grateful that I can enjoy it. Or right now I'm interacting with you in this moment, and you're asking good questions. You're curious. You're giving me a platform with your audience. So I'm grateful. Right now I can feel gratitude because I have built my gratitude muscle. So once we kind of do that, we can work on something else, beauty, let's say. So right now, can I not find beauty in this moment? Yeah, there's beauty. There's the beauty of the plants. There's I even see the beauty of the art that's being reflected back at me through my screen, because I'm looking at myself, which is kind of embarrassing a little bit. But there's the art behind my back, and I'm looking at it. So anyway, so once you kind of build a muscle of any of these qualities, for a month or so, you can move to the next. But it all starts, I should backtrack, with connecting with our life force energy and our essence. And from once we are there, some of these qualities naturally start to emerge. So right now we can do that in a quick thing in a minute. I'm going to take some risks. So anybody, if you're listening to this, hopefully you're not driving. If you're driving, don't do this. But we could take a couple of breaths, feel our breath, extend the exhale, feeling the rise and fall of the belly and the chest, feeling our feet, legs on the ground, the connection of Mother Earth and the force of gravity as it's pulling us gently in this gentle embrace into the center of the earth, while at the same time, through the pressure, through the chair, through the cushion, through the floor, keeping us in place. So the contact with the earth, feeling the breath, sensing the heartbeat that we have, the pulsating flow of the blood, which is another marker of our life force energy right now, pulsating through our veins, and the verticality of our spine, which is the information superhighway that connects the nervous system through the entire body, and the intelligence of the body and the space all around us. And we start to shift our experience from being this skin encapsulated ego that's separate from everything to being part of this living and breathing presence.
Oh,
And I don't know if you were following this with me, but I'm curious if you did, if anything shifted, and your perception of who and what you are and your relationship to your environment shifted.
yeah, definitely. First of all, it brings a sense of calmness. Secondly, during the entire process, I try to think what I am grateful for. So I am grateful for to be able to see and live through the auspicious time of celebrating festivals. Being able to spend this time with my parents, with my family, loved ones. So I kind of expressed gratitude
Uh-huh.
the earth, or maybe uh, to the Almighty, God to give me this, platform as well. So, as we talked about gratitude, that thing has been registered in my mind, and I kind of became more mindful about it through that, just 2 or 3 minutes of breath work.
Yeah, and connecting insights. So yeah, so you realize first the gift of life. It's a miracle that, it's not like I'm here alive. It's not like I did anything to earn it. It's not like I worked hard and done something to get this gift of life. So life is a gift. So that's start gratitude, and then you're grateful for your parents and your family, the ability to spend time with them. So
Yeah.
you're already starting to feel connection. So you're grateful for your connection. You're not this separate, isolated, lonely person. So there's gratitude and there's connection, there's recognition of the gift of life. And when we realize life is a precious gift, then we want to make the most of it. And then that starts to awaken a sense of purpose. Oh, I got this gift. What am I going to do with it? If I give you a gift or you give someone a gift and they leave it unwrapped in the closet, you say, what? We're going to be disappointed, right? I mean, if someone gives you a gift, they want you to enjoy it, make the best of it. So, or when we give someone a gift, so we got this gift of life. What are we going to do with it? Let's make the best of it, enjoy it, make something meaningful, contribute in a meaningful way. So when you look at life as a gift, that starts to awaken purpose. So, anyway, so we can keep going, but I think that you're illustrating
Yeah.
uh, how taking a pause, a small pause, connecting with yourself,
Yeah.
gratitude opens up, connections opens up, and then as you reflect on it, perhaps purpose and meaning opens up.
Mm. Yeah, definitely, definitely. And I think it's a great way to, especially for entrepreneurs or leaders, to have an effective decision making process, because most of the times during hustle or during any difficult situation, we become the founders or we become frazzled, and we start making quick, but maybe bad decisions, or which can have a longer detrimental effect. So I think it's a great technique, how you explained, how it can help in making effective decisions as well for their business, and very much has a pragmatic application in the corporate world or the business world.
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to, some of the quotes from Steve Jobs, he was a great business person, innovator. One of the
Yeah.
things he always emphasized was the power of his intuition, and that his greatest creative ideas and judgments came when he quieted his mind, and through the silence, the stillness, creative insights came. And, same Einstein, his greatest discoveries, and Thomas Edison, they all use techniques to rely on their intuition, and the most innovative people were, whether they called it spiritual intelligence or not. I mean, Steve Jobs, the one book he had on his iPad was the autobiography of a yogi, and he meditated, and his biggest dream was to become enlightened. That side of him is not very well known. Now, I'm not saying he was necessarily the greatest spiritually intelligent leader. He certainly was in many ways. He had a great vision and a strong sense of purpose and devotion to it. There are other dimensions of spiritual intelligence he may have not been the best at. But that's true for any of us. We excel in some domains and not so other. But I'm just trying to highlight that, qualities like intuition, and purpose and devotion to that purpose, and that vision has certainly been demonstrated and resulted in the greatest business successes.
Definitely. Great, Dr. Yosi. That was such a profound conversation. So, as you know, although we have shortage on time, but of course, I'm very confident our listeners have absorbed, taken up such great takeaways from this discussion about spiritual intelligence, which is, a very, very unique aspect. So if our listeners, they want to explore more about the research you have done and they want to connect with you, maybe how they can do that.
Well, first of all, I have a website called yosiamram.net, just like my name, YOSIAMRAM.net. And from there are links to multiple resources, including my book, Spiritually Intelligent Leadership, How to Inspire by Being Inspired. In it, I go through each of the qualities of spiritual intelligence. I cover case studies of clients in business, all CEOs of tech companies in Silicon Valley, in a dilemma or a problem or a challenge they faced, and how a particular spiritual intelligence quality could be developed or applied to solve that problem. So there are case studies highlighting how that's very practical and relevant in a super hyper competitive world of Silicon Valley. And there are exercises for each of the qualities for someone who wants to develop it themselves. So it's not just something that you read. You can practice exercises for each of the qualities that it shows you how to cultivate them. So, I also host monthly free events for each of the quality. As next month is going to be on the quality of gratitude, aligned with Thanksgiving. Each month it's a different thing we focus on. The last month was purpose. Before that was beauty. It was purpose, love, and so we go through each of those 22 qualities, and there's a free event with exercises, and people can do that in community. I also have a YouTube channel with some of those teachings are available. It's Awakening Spiritual Intelligence, all one word. So all of that is available through my website, yosiamram.net, and it's a journey, and I hope people will engage in it and find that you can actualize your potential to live an inspired life, and that is connected and empowered, and where you can live in love with life and radiate joy. And that's kind of what I'd love to see, is to live in a world where more of humanity is living inspired life, feeling connected, empowered, living in love, and radiating joy. Wouldn't that be a lot more fun?
It will be. It is. It is. Great. We'll have all the details mentioned in our show notes for the listeners. And Dr. Yosi, thank you so much for such an enlightening conversation and for guiding us through the fascinating world of spiritual intelligence. And today we explored the power of going beyond IQ and EQ, delving into the spiritual depth that enriches our leadership, personal lives, and overall well being. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Sana. I appreciate the opportunity and your warm presence and your insights and your questions. I'm grateful. Going back to gratitude.
Lovely. And listeners, if today's conversation sparked something in you, take a moment to reflect or try out one of the simple exercise that we did. Dr. Amram shared with all of us. And remember, the journey of spiritual intelligence is about connecting with our inner self in ways that allow us to lead and live more authentically. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to show us some gratitude by subscribing or leaving a review or sharing it with others who might find inspiration in these insights. Until next time, keep growing, keep reflecting, and keep living mindfully.